I'm Brandon Clark. This is my co-host Swall Hall, and today we're meeting on uncommon ground. So it's been quite the chaotic week in American politics with Trump. You can say that almost every week, I feel like. But we have he moved off of vaccines, not all vaccines, but he's on Tylenol now as a cause for autism. We'll discuss that if it's true. It's not, surprise. And then we have the ICE video that went viral with the woman being pushed to the ground, and there was screaming and yelling. We'll discuss that, kind of just talk about ICE largely a little bit, move on to the looming possible government shutdown. The day you guys are watching this is actually the day we'll find out if it happens. As of right now, we're a few days prior, don't know which way it's going to go. So we'll talk about, the things leading up to it. And we have a hot seat to end. If you guys remember a couple episodes ago, we did these, I think, 2 or 3 times. I'll be on the hot seat today. Swal will be asking the questions. They will be around the topic of Israel-Palestine. So make sure to stay tuned for that. We're going to jump into the Tylenol autism stuff to begin. I'm sure we've all seen it, or at least the clip of Trump struggling to pronounce acetaminophen, or saying that hepatitis B is sexually transmitted, or one of the clips of them where Trump announced that Tylenol leads to an increased risk of autism. He doubled down on the vaccine warnings, though that was kind of in the back of the thing. He specifically mentioned hepatitis B being unnecessary for children, with his reason being that hepatitis B is only sexually transmitted, which isn't true, for those who don't know. And then he said a medicine, leucovorin, will cure autism, which also isn't true. I'll get into all of that, but Swa, I am curious, I guess, what are your thoughts? Just hearing that, just having seen the clips, what do you make of it?
Yeah, it was really funny that he couldn't pronounce that and then just defaulted to saying Tylenol. And of course, I'm sure everyone's seen the jokes about them saying like easiest lawsuit ever
Yeah.
for Tylenol for defamation and whatnot. But yeah, so I didn't watch like the full press conference. I, like everybody else, just mostly saw the clips and all the memes that have come from it.
Mhm.
But I will say that one, so I've been, again, I'm always fighting with people on my side of trying to get them not to be dumb. So I've been telling people, like, first off, they're like, and the doctors have been pushing Tylenol, blah 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 blah. First off, every medicine, Tylenol, cough drops, opiates, everything says if you are pregnant, consult your doctor.
Mhm.
Every single one of
Yep.
them.
Yeah.
Stuff that's not even medicine, beers, food at the store says it. Like this idea, like, oh, they were pushing it on all the pregnant. No, they weren't. They weren't. They if your doctor was, you need a new doctor because no
Yeah.
doctor should just be like, take as much Tylenol. That's not. That's no. So I don't know where people are getting this idea. Like there's some psyop about Tylenol. That's news to me.
It's big
Um,
pharma, bro. We can't trust them.
yeah,
Big
people are.
Tylenol.
It's so wild. Yeah, I saw so many people who were saying like, "Oh yeah, my doctor told me to take a bunch during preg." I was like, "Did they?
It's like, no, they
Did
didn't.
they? I
Things
don't
that
believe
didn't
that."
happen for
Yeah,
500,
right. Um, I'm not a doctor. I don't think I know for a fact that Tylenol is not the cause of autism because autism predates Tylenol. So that right there, it's at the very least not the origin point.
Mhm.
Whether it contributes to risks or anything like that, I couldn't pretend to know. I'm not a doctor. Like I said, I don't really know anything about the science there. My understanding is that's not really how it works, but if it was how it worked, that wouldn't like necessarily like blow my mind or anything. But like with all medicines, like I said, you should always consult your doctor before
Yeah.
taking them, especially if you're pregnant. So, and of course, people have dug up the tweets from Tylenol from 2017 where they said they don't recommend it for pregnancy and
Yeah.
stuff. And so, like to pretend like this is all like
On the
new
DL.
information, like
Yeah.
it's just not. Like
Yep.
we've known, take it with
Yep.
every
Very
medicine
true.
has a risk, I
Yeah.
guess, is the thing I
And
would say.
so what I would say is, like, there's a couple things that, like, we know, kind of, I guess, as know, science people don't like the word no, but as well as we
Yeah,
can know
yeah, yes,
things,
sure.
there's a few things we know. And it's that acetaminophen, Tylenol, is the safest thing
Yes,
to fight fevers that you can
yes.
take during pregnancy. So while it obviously, like, you shouldn't just be hawking Tylenol every day, if you have a fever, you absolutely should take
Yes,
it, because we know on the flip side that
yes.
having a fever that you don't do anything with, that is prolonged, that you just allow to happen while pregnant, is actually directly linked to neurodevelopmental issues, these
Yes.
exact type of things that they're trying to link to Tylenol, which we also rather, like, we have strong, like, there's a study from 1995 to 2019, 2.5 million people of acetaminophen, all kinds of groups, all ages, children, all of this found no link between using it during pregnancy and a later diagnosis of autism, ADHD, or intellectual disability. So all of this is just like they're pulling it out of their ass. I don't even like. I've tried to find like studies and things that back what they're saying.
As far as I know, there's literally one. I think
Yeah,
it's one study. This is what I was told.
there's one with less than 8,000 people in the cohort.
Yeah.
Wouldn't even be representative of any population, let alone like America. But
Right.
also, and they've tried to moderate their message since. Mehmet Oz, Dr. Oz,
Hmm.
has gone on Fox and CNN, and he's like, well, we're just saying there's associations and this. And that's really disingenuous because, like, the example I've been giving on my channel is like, if I go outside and it's raining and I find $1 million in my bush, it raining is associated with me finding $1 million. It didn't cause it at all.
Association is not causation.
Yeah, and
Yep.
so they're getting disingenuous with the way they're trying to downplay it. And what I'm scared of, and I'm sure Swa, you can say as well, is that women are just not going to take it when they should, and now we
Yes.
can actually have an increase in issues.
Yeah, this seems like a wonderful opportunity again to highlight people. I don't, we have all these amazing gifts in America, like now the healthcare system is a mess on a lot of ways, but the fact that we can all have doctors when we're pregnant, that alone, awesome, amazing. And so it's like we have this resource of you having your personal doctor assigned to you for 9 months. Call them before you take anything. Like, why? I don't understand. They have, like, I don't. Everyone's insurance is a little bit different, but a lot of these things have now, they have like the 24-hour chat things
Telehealth.
online. You can do the video chats. Like, you can get in contact with your doctor or at least the office pretty much anytime. So if you do have a fever and you're worried because of all the Trump stuff or whatever, call your doctor and ask them. And they might say, what temperature? And you might say, oh, 99.1. And they might say, oh, that's pretty low. Monitor it. If it hits 100, then take a Tylenol. If it doesn't, let's avoid it. Let's not unnecessarily put risk. That seems like a reasonable position to take.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's just the way we should have already been approaching it. I know that that's how we approached our pregnancies that we've had in my family is, if she was having some pain or feeling nauseous, we would consult the doctor, consult, even if we couldn't get a hold of a doctor, WebMD, something
Yeah.
other than just, I guess we'll just take whatever. Like,
Yeah.
why? It just seems like a failure on personal levels is what this is all highlighted. But I did want to say, yeah, I agree with the association is not causation. I know that the FDA is supposedly reviewing this. So as with all of the Trump stuff, or any time any of these points are raised that seem far fetched, I'm always like willing to see the results. Like, we could all just be out to pasture and somehow they discovered, and it's actually miraculously true that there's a correlation. And obviously, we would want to know that if it was true. So, like, I'm not saying like don't research this stuff, but like coming out and the way he announced this press conference too, he was like, "This is the biggest announcement in
Yeah.
American history in the last 100 or whatever he said." First off, no, it wasn't. Like, even if it was all true, it still wasn't the biggest announcement we've had in like the last
And well,
100 years. I feel like.
they're also using words that are like super inappropriate to use. Like they're saying like cure, like he's like said
Yeah,
over
yeah,
and over again,
yeah.
we're gonna cure autism when autism isn't even a disease, it's a disorder. I don't think Trump knows the
And
difference between those two
are
things,
they
but
saying that the leucovorin, like, you can take it
and it'll cure
after you
autism.
have autism?
Yes, yes,
Like, when
and that
you're like a
yes.
30-year-old person
That's
just existing with autism, it's just going to
yeah.
make it go away?
That is what Trump said. Again, Dr. Oz has gone and tried to moderate it, and he's just saying, well, we're just saying there's all he's also saying
Doesn't even make any sense to
he's
me.
saying there's associations with benefits, and it's because these people literally view autism as a disease,
But
something that they can cure. right? That they can then get rid of when it's like not that.
It hurts
And it's
my
also
head.
like leucovorin, what it does is it treats cerebral folate deficiency, right? Which is a really complicated thing, but it's something that some people with that have autism have. You're more likely to have it if you have autism, but it's only around like I think 38 to 45% of the population has it. So it's not like even the majority of autistic
Yeah,
people. And,
like
and it's the benefits it's shown are inconsistent and minimal, like even with that population, let alone cure. Like, so it's like crazy to
right.
say that.
Yeah, and like I was gonna say, like if I had to steel man, like again, I didn't listen to the entire press conference, so maybe the steel man is just being way too generous. But like if I had to steel man it, like if they were saying like, the same way like, getting 8 hours of sleep will probably minimize some of the symptoms of autism as far as like maybe like being better focused and like yeah like if they're just saying like it is overall good for brain health or something like that, then I could understand. But like a cure, like that doesn't even make any sense because like what are you curing, I guess.
Yeah.
you
Well,
know
Trump verbatim said cure.
yeah,
So
yeah, so I'm
yeah.
being way more generous than he deserves at that point.
Yeah, you're the conservative on the podcast. You have somebody here has to be, you know. But yeah, did you have anything else you wanted to touch on that?
No, just trust doctors, but not every doctor is equal.
Yeah, trust doctors and don't trust the 80-year-old who blasts steroids and has a brain worm about
Yes.
medical advice.
Well,
So on to ICE, another great thing from the Trump administration. So we'll start with the video. There was a video of an ICE agent for the content and a woman for the context. They're at a hearing. The woman was at a hearing for her husband, who is essentially being lined up to be deported. She was in this video. You hear her pleading. She's pleading to the officer because she believed that if her husband is to be deported, that he's at risk to be killed. Obviously, she doesn't want that to happen to her husband. So she's like pleading to the officer about that. You see the officer in the video kind of as it starts, he's going, adios, adios. So it seems as if that he's like mocking her situation, sort of. Obviously, he could be saying adios to her, like leaving the building. He's just yelling that in her face. And then it's like, to me, it seemed out of nowhere. He just like that snaps on the drop of a dime and like grabs her and like pushes her back, pushes her down, and then he's yelling in her face, screaming, "Swa!" We'll start on the video. What were your thoughts having seen it? We'll start there. Yeah.
well, unless somebody's coming at you with a weapon, there's no reason to push a woman to the ground. Just
Yeah.
verbatim, just like as a general rule.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing I'll say is I don't really care what the situation is. Um, why would you need to be doing this, and why would you need to be screaming and yelling? It just sounds to me like somebody who can't regulate themselves, which is somebody that shouldn't have a gun, it shouldn't have any sort of position of power or anything like that. So I am glad that they've been placed on leave and they're doing their investigation. We just obviously have to hope that the investigation is truthful and honest, but I'm glad that they at least didn't just brush it under the rug completely. Um, as far as like from a Catholic standpoint, just generally on immigration and whatnot, we are expected as Catholics, if we live in a nation that is able to welcome foreigners seeking security and livelihood. So I don't think that we should just be deporting people willy nilly, especially, excuse me, back to areas that are dangerous. That is almost expressly forbidden as a Catholic to support that. But also in our catechism says that authorities must respect the rights of people and act humanely. So that was a breaking of that teaching. And then in Fratelli Tutti, which is one of the documents from one of the popes, I think it was Francis maybe, he talks about how migrants are people, not threats. Big surprise. And so the state obviously has the right to enforce immigration, and every country and state has that right. But you need to act in a proportional, respectable manner. Shoving people is not proportional policing. That's just abuse of power. And a maniac just doing what he thinks that he's allowed to do because he's got a special outfit or something. Um,
So So as we've kind of sounded like with this video, there's obviously been like other videos like this as
yeah.
well. How much do you think is this an indictment on like the Trump administration's decisions as, and I'm sure you're aware, for those who aren't, they've lowered like hiring standards to kind of get more people in. They're just trying to just rapidly like let people in just to have boots on the ground, warm bodies
Yeah.
to fill the roles. Do you think that a lot of this should come back on Trump, as we've seen the deadliest year in ICE history? We see these attacks kind of escalating. How much does the buck fall to Trump?
Well, when you're in charge, all of the buck goes to you, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, I think he's absolutely to blame. Obviously, we got to hold the individual ICE agents accountable as well. But even within that, like you said, he's still the guy in charge, so it still comes back on him. I know that in 2024 they had, so I guess that would have been under Biden, I guess, issued the body cams for the ICE agents, but of course, it wasn't really updated until recently this year, and the rollout has been
Yep.
um, negligent at
Yeah.
best, I guess. And so we should be pushing, and I don't know if there's something that we can do from our local level to our representatives, but we should be pushing for these body cams to be more active. And I mean, obviously, we caught this one on camera, so this doesn't really apply for this, but that way, when stuff like this does happen, the agent can be placed on leave, an investigation can happen. We have the evidence on footage, and we can call back to it. But really, I just want to stress that if we're going to have these ICE agents at all, they need to act humanely. Like, listen, their crime is that they came here and broke the rule of how to come here. They're not, you know, rapists, murderers. Like, why are we being physical?
Yeah.
I
And
guess.
I don't know
You
for
know?
sure her status, but
Yeah,
as
yeah. She's
far as
not
I'm
even in
concerned,
it.
I think she
Yeah,
was legal or
yeah,
like,
yeah. Exactly.
so that's even worse that we're
Right.
doing that either to an immigrant, a resident, a citizen, whatever she might have been. Again, person, even if they are undocumented, like we're obviously in agreement there.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just no matter what, there's no I don't get how you write that, right? And for me, I'm glad at least it seems like most of America agrees because Trump is now underwater on deportation, on immigration, these kinds of things. So like his numbers are dropping on them. I'm curious because the kind of last question I had on this was because we talked about policing a few weeks ago with Peter
Mhm.
Moscow's, and trust, community trust is a big thing with that, and especially with federal agents, there's already the friction, the trust isn't really there. What do you think is the appropriate response? Do you think that he needs obviously just let go? Do you think there should be like some sort of like misconduct, like fine or something with the department? Is there, I don't know. I mean, he didn't like hit anyone, or he did, I guess, assault her by pushing her. Do you think
Right.
charges would be the right thing? Like, what do you think is the response that best ensures the
Yeah. I
community
mean,
will trust and that ICE won't overstep?
yeah. I like you said. It seemed out of nowhere, and obviously we weren't there. We didn't hear every single word spoke or see the facial exact. Like, we don't know the exact vibe, so it's kind of hard to say specifically.
Yeah.
Um, but assuming that the investigation leads that there basically was absolutely no reason for him to act that way, then I think at the very least you need to put this dude on like unpaid leave, cool off, timeout. Like I treat my toddlers, go take a timeout. Maybe I believe in second chances, so like maybe we don't know, maybe the dude's dog died right before he got in there, and he was already like, I never want to make assumptions of what led somebody to their specific scenario. So, but something has to be done, like you said, so that we know that they can't just treat us however they want and they
Yeah.
get away with it.
So
So an example needs to be made somehow.
you're nicer than me because I think he absolutely should be fired and fined at the bare minimum. But yeah, no, if you did you have anything else that you wanted to say about the whole kind of debacle or ICE?
I have no problem, by the way, if he's fired. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, at
Yeah,
the
no.
very least, like, I don't know, maybe she spat out on
It's
him
it's the
and
it's
we didn't
the
see and it hit him in the face
it's
and he was like,
it's the Catholic
ah,
in you. It's the
you know?
Catholic in you. You want to give him the
Exactly.
chance to repent and
Yes,
yeah.
exactly, exactly.
But yeah. So the government shutdown, this obviously ICE could play into this in terms of how that could be affected. This is getting less coverage, I think, than it usually does because of all the other insanity kind of happening right now from Charlie Kirk, from ICE, from the autism announcements, from all of this, right? But government shutdowns aren't fun for anyone. They're not fun for federal workers. They're not fun for us as citizens who rely on the things that these federal workers do. The context is Republicans need 7 Democrat votes to keep the government open. Democrats are wanting concessions on Medicaid spending, Obamacare subsidies, and rescissions, which is where Trump cuts spending that Congress already approves. Trump is saying, I'm not going to do that. Not only am I not going to do that, but he's refusing to meet with Democrats to even talk to them, which is why this is looking like it's for sure going to happen. The last, I guess, important context, Russ Voigt, the budget manager under Trump, came out and he said, hey, Democrats, if the government shuts down, me and Trump are going to use this as an opportunity to fire more people. So it seems like, yeah, they're going to let the government shut down and then fire people if this happens. That sounds insane to me. Swall, what's your read on it?
Um, yeah, you talked about the coverage. I was talking with my wife about this. I don't know if you remember, it was Obama's second term, I believe. I want to say it was 2012.
I don't
The
remember.
government shut down then, and they made a big deal about it. I was in high school at the time. I think it was my freshman or sophomore year, and my teacher spent the whole period talking about it because if I remember correctly, at that point it wasn't like a regular thing. Like if I know correctly, I think the first government shutdown was in '76, and then I think the next one was like in '80, and then maybe since then I think it jumped to like late '90s. Like it didn't really happen all that frequently
Mhm.
until like it seems like from 20 since 2012, it's basically been like oh, here we go again. Like
Yeah.
it's just pretty much every administration this happens, and so that might also be part of the lack of coverage. It's just nobody
Yeah.
cares anymore
Yeah, that's
because
true. They don't happen that often, but it does seem you're right. Like now it's like every time this comes to be, it's like, oh, is the government gonna shut
yep,
down? Are they gonna
the
agree?
budget's up. I guess we're done. It's like,
Yeah.
come on, dude. So that's I just want to touch on that first. But yeah, obviously, I think the shutdowns are a complete failure of the governance. It's not a strategy at all. I hate when they do these stupid negotiation tactics and trying to get people to approve this budget line item and this thing, or else we're not going to do anything. And it's like, are we here to serve the people or are we here to serve ourselves, guys? Because, like, you know, people's paychecks, people's healthcare, people's immigration status, these aren't bargaining chips.
Yeah.
These aren't things that we're just here to make bets and gamble over and just make deals and like that's not the whole thing's kind of gross. That's not what we're supposed to do. Obviously, as a conservative, I want to cut waste. I'm cool with cutting spending, yada yada, but I don't want to just like hold America hostage while people have a you know an appendage measuring contest. We'll say
Mhm.
it just seems like they're just playing chicken with each other, and it's dumb. And just govern our country, please.
I'm curious who you think holds more of the onus kind of in these discussions to make the first move, where like, do you think Republicans should meet with Democrats? Should they stop pretending like because we have the majority, we don't have to budge at all? Or should it be more on Democrats to say, okay, we'll be the responsible party. We won't ask for any concessions and we'll just go along to keep the government open?
So similar to what we talked about earlier, the buck stops with the guy in charge, and so I think whichever party their president is in charge, I think the president's job, part of his job, is to be, a unifier. People like to use that for Obama's first term, the great unifier, or I
Mhm.
think one of the presidents in like the '70s or something was like the great negotiator. No, they call Trump the great negotiator, even though he sucks at it.
Yeah.
And so like that should be the president's role. They should be a negotiator. They should be a unifier. They should be sure I'm part of the Republican Party, but I'm the president for everyone. And then, honestly, I think Biden said stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so it should be the president taking the lead to say we can't let the government shut down. You guys, hey kids, you guys need to get along. Like that should be the president's job. Obviously, with this president, we're never going to get that. And so at a certain point, you got to look at reality. And that's where I will say, uh, with the Democrats, like you said, Republicans got majority, they got the president. The chances of the Democrats getting what they want is slimmer. And so if I was them, I would be a little bit more willing to play ball and do what we can do just to keep things open. But I understand not always wanting to take the moral high ground.
What about when the
It's
threats
exhausting.
escalate and like Russ Voigt is talking about, hey, we're gonna do mass layoffs. Like if you let the government shut down, we're gonna fire people. Seemingly that being the reason. He's not saying like these are people, who need to be
Right,
fired, but if you let
right.
it shut down, we'll fire them.
Yeah, I think that's disgusting. Like I said, that's not it's people's livelihood. That's not a bargaining chip, or at that point, that's not even bargaining. That's just blackmail,
Yeah.
which
And with
shouldn't be legal.
yeah, it
I
sucks
mean, it's
especially
not.
because yeah, with federal employment, a lot of people's like lives are structured around that. Like you can like transfer like city to city. Like my
And
mom
their
worked for the
pensions and
government for a
like
while.
their
Yeah.
yeah,
And they have like childcare, like things
yep.
like that. And it's like, so if you lose the job that gives you childcare, gives you the pension, gives you all that, it's like, where do I go from here? And you're fired. So like it's not like you can necessarily use that as a reference. I mean, you can, but you were fired. So it's like, do you
Right,
really want to put that on your
right.
resume? So it seems like targeting people who have nothing to do with any of this to me. And it's like when you start putting
Bullying,
people's
just bullying.
lives over their heads, I don't get how anyone could not blame Republicans for that. Like if the government shut down and they fired all those people, I don't see how any MAGA voter could see them do that and be like, it's the Democrats' fault. They should have went along.
Really, really.
Yeah.
You don't see how a MAGA voter?
Well, I know they will. I see that they will.
Yeah,
I just don't see like how does that compute in their minds? You know what I mean?
it doesn't compute in their
Yeah.
minds. There's not there's a difference between, and I always make this distinction. There's a difference between MAGAites, which are the cultists, weirdos, which
Mhm.
unfortunately is a large percentage, and people who just voted for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about those people. I don't like I care about those people, but for the sake of most of these conversations, those people don't really matter. The MAGAites, there is no thought process. They
Yeah.
don't care.
I don't know. See, this is I hold that sometimes, but the more I see Trump do these things, the more I'm like, should I really give grace to the people who still voted for Trump? I'm at the opinion now, and I'm kind of joking for those who are audio only. I'm at the opinion now, if Gavin Newsom doesn't win a 50, if there's not a 50 blue state Gavin Newsom 2028 victory, if Florida and Texas don't go blue in 2028 because of this administration, I'm not forgiving any.
Well, what if we get a nostalgic throwback, and we get somebody who feels like a 1990s Republican. I was listening to well, I was watching one of the some Destiny something or other, and he was playing audio from who did was it McCain in 2012 that Obama won against?
Mitt Romney.
Romney. Yeah,
McCain was 08.
it was a Romney like summit or whatever, and the people sounded just as dumb, which was unfortunate. But one of the ladies was like, I can't, I can't trust Obama. He's a Muslim, and
Oh, see, now you're mistaking it. That was John McCain. Yeah.
oh, okay, that was the
Yeah.
John
It was
McCain one,
John McCain who
and,
did
and
that.
John McCain was like, no, like I know Obama, like he's a
Yeah.
nice guy,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
was listening to that, and I was like, this seems so foreign to what
Yeah.
politics are
Yeah.
today. No Republican
Would ever
Democrat
do
is
that.
gonna be like, no, like Joe Biden, he's like a great guy, and like Trump would never say that.
Could
He'd
you
never say
imagine if
that.
Trump, I always think of that. Imagine if it was Trump who had gotten that question.
Yeah, yeah.
Imagine.
Oh, he would have been like,
She'd have
yes, he
said,
is.
yeah.
I've seen the birth certificate. I'm not
Glad you
allowed to
wouldn't
talk
said it.
about
Yeah.
it, but I've seen it. It says Muslim.
I'm glad you said it because they wouldn't let me.
Yeah, like, and I was just so sad to listen to, and then hearing the woman, I was like, that sounds like a MAGA person.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just can't
See,
trust him. I was like, oh my goodness.
my problem is John McCain still had a bunch of terrible opinions. So it's like shout out John McCain though for obviously
For
his
like being a regular person, at
being a
least, like you
regular
can
dude.
have
Yeah.
shit takes
Yeah.
and be like a normal person,
And
which is what I'm saying the regular Trump voters are,
he single-handedly saved
and you could be a
Obamacare.
crazy person.
He single-handedly saved Obamacare. So he's good in my book.
There
I might in a
you go.
retrospective election, I
Yeah,
might vote for John McCain over Obama. There's my
that's
hot
what.
take.
That's what. That is wild. Well, there you
There's my
go.
hot take. I
There
don't
you
know.
go.
Yeah. No, probably that's probably kind of a joke though. Because if okay, I would here's my condition. I would do it if we would get Obamacare regardless. If we get Medicare for all, or not for all, but like in Medicare expansion, how Obamacare did it, I would maybe he maybe bombs a little less. So I don't know. But
That's funny.
did you have anything else on the government shutdown or?
No, just government. Please stop embarrassing all
Yeah.
of us.
Yeah. Do you, so I guess here's my last question. Do you think it shuts down this time? And if not, and they do stay open, do you think we see a shutdown under Trump with how chaotic things are?
So it's hard to say because right now we're in a very interesting place politically on the heels of the Charlie Kirk stuff and just everything. Honestly, and this administration has just been kind of if it feels like a roller coaster. It feels like every week it just feels like pedal to the floor.
Yeah.
And so I could see the Democrats kind of being sick of being pushed around and wanting to stick up for themselves, thus leading us to a standoff, which
Yeah.
would get shut down the government.
Hakeem Jeffrey
Um,
says they're doing it. He said that they're not budging. So
yeah, so I don't know, but right now my gut tells me we're not gonna have a shutdown, but
we'll
it
see.
wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
It really wouldn't.
Me either, and I definitely think if not this one, we'll see one under Trump. It's with
Right.
how polarized politics are now. But yeah, hot seat. Guys, for those who don't remember, I'll be on the hot seat, so I will be on the receiving end of the questions. Schwa will be the puppet master of sorts, asking whatever he wants. This time I think when we did it last time, we weren't topic specific. Now
Correct.
we're doing it topic specific this time. He's asking about Israel-Palestine. Swall coming from a more pro-Israel-ish stance. I don't want to
Oh,
like
I'll clarify right
you're
before I
less he's
ask.
less pro-Palestine than I am. I know that. And
Yes,
I'm
that's
coming
true.
from a pro-Palestine anti-Israel in this conflict position. So Swall with that, take us
Yes.
away.
Yeah, just so everybody knows my take. I used to be pretty strongly pro Israel, and now due to one more research and then their recent and continued behavior, I am now of the opinion that from a moral standpoint, I don't think you can support either side as far as what's being done to either side's women and children and whatnot. I can't support murder or killing on either side. So I think both of them have done heinous things over the last 100 years. But I think as far as like on a realistic basis of what kind of outcomes are still on the table, I think that Palestine is smoking something. It's never gonna. There's nothing's gonna happen there. So that's where I'm from. My stance kind of is. But anyways, Brandon. So if now, this is if because I doubt you will agree with this, but if Israel was established through legal purchase of land and then survival and defensive wars, on what grounds do you deny its legitimacy as a state?
I don't know if I deny its legitimacy. I'm not necessarily like I don't think it's like not I think the problem is it's an apartheid state. I think that needs to be addressed in the same way it was addressed in like South Africa, but I don't know. I mean, I obviously wasn't of the awareness when South Africa was happening, but I was like, however old, not old enough.
Of the awareness.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I didn't know the right way to say it, but yeah, I don't. I'm against Israel's actions. I'm not against Israel, and I think we've talked about this at least briefly on another episode. I actually support Israel in terms of its existence. I actually think if there was a conflict to boil over in the Middle East, Israel is probably whose side we should be on. Now, if it was
Sure.
the actions they're taking right now that led them into war, then I wouldn't say we should be on their side. But
Sure. Okay. That was an acceptable take.
mm.
Um, the term Palestinian people only really gained traction in the mid 20th century. Do you think the relatively modern construction of that identity weakens the claim to ancient ownership of the land?
No, I think if anything, it strengthens the claim that they've been rejected sovereignty, despite having a legitimate claim for decades.
Interesting. Uh, how do you justify Hamas and their leadership targeting civilians, school buses, schools, families, under, as a Catholic, obviously the just war principles, which explicitly forbids attacking non-combatants?
Mhm.
How do you justify being pro-Palestine when that's how the leadership acts?
Sure, I don't justify anything Hamas does. I think Hamas is terrible, also needs to go. I don't justify any civilians or children being attacked or anything like that. What I would say and why or how I would justify, I guess, being pro-Palestine despite that is I would look at it in an equation of like slave owners and slaves. I would never like if a slave owner killed a slave and then a slave killed a slave owner in revolt or like a trying to escape, I think both of those things are wrong. But I think one is demonstrably more wrong than the other. And I think that the power imbalance in this is kind of similar. And when it comes to Palestine specifically, which has been occupied, according to the ICJ, since 1967, you have an occupier-occupied type of relationship. So I would never hold Hamas to the same standard as Israel. Now, that being said, I do still hold them to be completely immoral actors in this conflict.
Some slight disagreements there, but another not crazy take.
I'm not
If
crazy, I promise.
if both sides commit atrocities, what principle allows you to single out Israel as uniquely evil? Now, obviously, I wrote these questions before hearing some of your other answers, so
Mhm.
um, your answer here is probably similar to what you just said. I
Yeah,
guess.
it would be the power, it would be almost exactly similar. The power imbalance. I guess the context I could add in terms of this is the word I would give is I'm not sure that roles reversed that it would be different, right? I think that if like Muslims had the upper hand on Jews in the region for these decades, that you could be seeing the same type of oppression. I think the problem is more cultural, and obviously like there's like religious, like age-old religious tensions there. So Israel is uniquely evil because their power imbalance enables them to be so in a way that Gaza just couldn't, or Hamas, that I should say.
If tomorrow Israel disarmed completely, what would happen to its people? And if Hamas disarmed completely, what would happen to theirs, in your opinion?
If Hamas disarmed, nothing would happen. The like everything would continue. Many people in Israel's leadership has said as much, that it's not about the hostages, that they want to siege Gaza. I think it's either the defense minister or the finance minister literally just said like a couple weeks ago that they want to make Gaza Jewish, that they're not going to stop until they siege all of Gaza and make it Jewish. They want to go into Gaza City. They've already sent in evacuation leaflets. So like they're trying to go in. I don't think that if Hamas laid down arms, anything would change. I think that if I don't know necessarily what you mean by is if Israel laid down arms. If Israel like left the settlements and stopped occupying Gaza, I think that that would drastically change things in the region. But I'm not one who thinks that Israel should like stop like the Iron Dome or anything. So I don't know if that's what you mean necessarily.
Yeah, I just meant stop fighting, lay down arms, just
Yeah, I
stop
think if they stop
attacking
being the aggressor, not
them
only
at all.
I think if they stopped being the aggressor here, if they stopped being the aggressor in Lebanon, if they just stopped acting as an aggressor and occupying people, that there would be a lot more peace in the situation, especially since they have Western backing. We've had normalization talks with like Iran, we've had them with Saudi Arabia. So the idea that like it's impossible to normalize with these countries is kind of fantasy to me.
Yeah, and just to push a little bit more and to clarify, I guess I mean like if Israel, so I'm not talking about expanding any of their settlements or anything. Obviously, they would have to stop that, but
Mhm.
all of the land that is currently considered to be Israel proper, like there's no if or ands or buts, not like something within like the last couple months or something that they took. I mean, like stuff that's been Israel proper for like 10, 15, 20 years. You don't think that, you think that the Palestinians would be like, okay, that's fine.
I think that,
You,
well, I mean, I think they'd be upset, obviously, but what I'm saying is I think that there's normalization talks that can be had. Now, in my opinion, I think that it would probably be dependent upon some sort of land swaps. I don't think that Gaza should ever think that they're going to get the 67 borders back. Like that's not going to happen. But I mean, in just terms of a moral claim, there's lands that both of them consider holy. Both of them have age-old claims to them. I think that it's just sensible, obviously, that talks would have to be had. And I mean, settlements have been had even in the last couple decades. So land swaps would have to happen, in my opinion.
okay, and then this is my final one. Um, what do you think is a realistic end game? One state, two state, no Israel at all, no Palestine at all, and then on top of that, how does this square with international law?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like what I think is morally correct, I think that a one state solution is morally correct. Now, if I'm talking about like pragmatically and like what like could actually happen, and obviously, and I would say in the short, I don't think that going from where we're at immediately to a one state solution is also the goal. Pragmatically, I don't know if a one state solution would ever happen, though. It would probably be a two-state solution. In my opinion, it's whatever they want. If Palestinians have sovereignty, it's whatever the people on the ground decide that's for them to work out. I think probably what would be needed would be the biggest fucking wall possible. I'll bleep that out. The biggest wall possible, the biggest wall possible between the two of them, and some sort of like third party negotiator operating in. There probably needs to be some sort of like custodianship of the
I
Holy
think
Land.
Trump's ears perked up when you said wall, big wall.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, with them, it's different because it's more like
Yeah,
they shoot over the borders at each other. So
yeah, I
it's
know.
like they just need something to
Rockets,
stop
yeah.
that. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. It's a complicated thing for sure. And then
Okay,
international law, real quick, international law. I mean, I think most international countries recognize Palestine as a state. So I think it would square pretty easy.
I'm curious. I know I said that was my last one, but now I'm curious because you framed it this way of what you mean by morally. You think it should be a one state. What do you mean by that exactly?
Sure. I mean, both have claims to the land. I think that in terms of like how Israel was came to be, a lot of it was just like people not wanting to deal with the land anymore. So they're like, all right, like here, we'll toss it off to you guys. Here's a deal. And then since then, it's been problems. But both of them have these like age old claims. Both of them have religious claims. And again, when South Africa was an apartheid state, we weren't saying, hey, let's break South Africa into two states where black people live over here and white people live over there. It was obviously a one state sort of solution, because when you think of a two-state solution, there's a lot of problems that always end up with Palestinians getting the short end of the stick, like who gets the fertile lands, who gets access to the better ports, who gets the beachfront properties. And these are all things that obviously, like if we're talking from a moral sense, Israel doesn't have more of a claim to them than Palestine, but in terms of just the sheer power and balance, they could take all of them if they wanted.
Just for my 2 cents, personally, as a religious person, I don't think the religious claims matter at all. Like, I don't think that you can use that to just that's our land because it means something to our religion. Otherwise, then my guys got to get involved in this fight too, because Jerusalem is one of the holy sees of the Christian church. I mean, that's where the first council was held with the apostles. That's Jesus is from, like, so then we're gonna get involved, and now we've got three religions, and then I'm sure some other religions like Zoroastrianism actually back in the and so I don't think we can use like my religion. I don't think that matters personally. Like
Yeah, I
I,
mean,
I
well, to
get
be
why it matters emotionally, but like
Yeah. Yeah.
you
So I mean,
can't
to be
say
clear, I don't think any religious claim matters in any context ever. But I mean, in this battle, in this conflict, religious conflict, that's like the first thing people go to. So I like to make clear like both sides have that same claim. It's not like only Israel uniquely has some religious claim or something.
right, right. Okay, yeah. So I think we agree on that basically. That like it's not
Mm.
like just because that's a holy site for you, you automatically get to just have it now.
Yeah.
That doesn't really that doesn't map onto real life. That's not really how it works. So okay,
Mm.
cool. Well, those were my questions. So there you go.
Awesome. Well, yeah, let us know what you guys think. What do you guys think of the hot seat? Did I get grilled too hard? Were my answers radical? Let us know if you liked it, if you enjoyed. We'll do more. Maybe we'll put SWA on for Israel Palestine or for something of the sort. We'll figure it out. If you guys enjoyed the episode, we are here every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure to subscribe, like on whatever platform you're listening on so you don't miss a future episode. And until next time.
Peace.